Welcome to the group conversation. We will speak about the results of the project. And now I introduce you the creation team. All of you are in creation field. And please introduce yourself.
So hey, I'm Camille Paycha. I'm working with the collective The Hangman Radio Show. We basically combine radio, sound experiment and Circus. And we participated to the CIRCollaborative Tools experiments with the use of digital tools in our creation process from the beginning till the end.
Cool. You?
Hi, I'm Sven Demey. I teach in circus schools. I accompany circus students mainly in Brussels, in École Supérieure des Arts du Cirque, but also in other schools. And I had the pleasure to direct the labs of the CIRCollaborative Tools.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, I'm Ondrej Holba. I'm from Czech, and I am a part of a collective No5. And I do creation through this project with robots, and yeah, I'm trying to use tools through the creative process, even to the production process.
Okay, thank you. And this group conversation is going to summarize your experience before this, entering in the project. What was the experience during doing the projects, and how you look in the future? So let's do it. Okay, so I have a question about what collaborative tools were you using prior the CIRCollaborative Tools project?
I think for us it was mainly things to share files, most of it, I think. So we used Google Drive and these sort of things. But I think that was it. Everybody
was using Google Drive before
the
project?
Yeah.
So the Drive was really in use, even in the creative processes. Okay, what else?
Well, I'm mainly in education, and I didn't use a lot of tools except one, huddle technique it's called. It's to analyze, it's a video tool to analyze movement, where you can do annotations on, where you can draw on, but it's the only thing I used.
So this is a really specific tool for your creation process?
Yeah. It's
nice.
To analyze movement.
And you use it, and you had experience before entering the... And you?
I used a lot of Appearing for calls, video calls, because I work with people from different countries. So we work through countries, which is really nice and useful.
But it means you know Appearing for a long time, then?
No, actually I was using Skype mostly before, and now I appeared, and I use it now, only Appearing.
Okay, but you knew Appearing before CIRCollaborative Tools?
No.
Because that was a question about that. What were you using before?
Okay. Before I was using Skype, and before I was using also Evernote for sharing notes, and Google Drive, and Excel a lot.
Okay. So you were not using too much tools, and only you, Sven, had a specific tool for your creation process.
To analyze movement, that's what we do a lot in circus education.
I see. And then came CIRCollaborative Tools project, and I'm sure all of you had some kind of expectation that something will happen here, you will get introduced to new tools, and then came the project. Now we are looking forward to finish it. And I'm sure that all of you have experienced the new applications, and you have some experience, you have some results. How you could describe your expectations and now the experience, how they relate to each other?
I think you have very high expectation when you discover a new tool and you think it will be super easy to do all the work and super organized. But what is hard is to actually really know or like find the best use for you with those tools. So the expectations are really high, and then you get disappointed. You're disappointing, and then. But I think that's the next question. But now it's the time that we know the tools, or like that I know the tool to adapt it the best possible to my use, or like what I really need. So yeah,
I agree with Camille. In the labs, I used an application that is called Memory Call, and we had a lot of expectations of that tool.
What problem it would solve?
It is a tool to analyze and to document a creation process. So we worked with it during a week, during 5 days, but we found a lot of bugs. We had a lot of problems with the internet and so on. So it didn't go as we thought it would be. So the expectations were high, but there were a lot of difficulties. And at the end of the process, we saw that we did some presentations, and a lot of artists used it in combination with something else. So we had a lot of different results at the end. So like Camille says, you have to use, I think, to search. Everything exists already on the web. You have to search your own tools and combine them for your own scenarios. A lot of scenarios are possible.
And are these artists still using this tool?
Some of them yes, and so some of them no. It depends.
But through this kind of experimentation, they started to find other tools which now are fitting for their...
But during the labs, it was interesting. We exchanged a lot of tools. We did round tables, and what do you use? I use this. Perhaps you can try to combine this with this. That was very an interesting process. The individual scenario for each project.
And also it meant that it's an international project, so they were bringing experience from totally different fields and countries and also circumstances, and then they started to exchange these to each other. That was the labs about.
There was a lot of exchange. That was very, very positive. Yeah.
Wow, that's good. That's really good. For you, Ondrej?
Yeah, for me, I learned to use a lot of tools, but for me the biggest problem was to use it in the long range. Actually, what Camille said that the first is really excitement, and it's problems or how to really use it effectively, and then slowly it's getting better and better. And then there is another big problem when somebody is new in a company to force him to use it as well, which is really hard because it's not for everybody. So it mostly for me, if I use, for example, Trello and other people don't use it, it's really hard to use it by myself.
I see.
Without some.
Because it meant that you were using Trello alone during your creation?
I'm still using it, but it's not so good when I do it alone. I use it for myself, but it's not so powerful. The power in it is when a lot of people work on it. And which is not happening in my company. No.
Really?
No.
Really? But just among the creation team? So so you were not really implementing Trello in your work in the team, right?
No. It didn't happen.
What a shame.
It's pity, but that's the thing, I think, because it's hard to force somebody to use something which you're not really into. We was learning it for 1 year in several funny labs, so it was easy for us.
But for your personally, you could implement it. That's amazing.
With us, we are just 3 in the collective, which is doable because as I think if you have too many people, it's difficult to all use the same tool and all agree to follow those rules. But we are just 3, and the 3 of us followed the first lab in Italy. So we were all introduced to the tool together. And
which tool?
What we mostly use or try is Trello and Slack for more, I would say, productional use. And so we were together all willing to try And so that worked, I think. And we are still now using it, and we could use it in a better way, but it's nice to be justly and as motivated to try new ways of doing production work digitally.
Okay. And have you found a specific tool for your creation process which helped? Because you were mentioning one, Sven.
I think for us it's mostly video conversations. For creation, like really for creation. Like we also exchange files. So we still use Google Drive actually.
Mm-hmm.
And we use also actually Mega, which is an alternative to Google. And but we are the most efficient when we actually see each other and talk to each other live. And because we live in different countries, we do that often actually, very often. And there, it's practical. And it's like Ondrej said, now we also use Appearin and not anymore Skype.
Really? So you could manage to implement Appearin into your daily work?
I found it very good.
And it works because it's easy?
It works very, very well.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Appearin.
And I introduced this to other projects I do as well.
Really? Wow.
Oblige everyone to use Appearin.
That's good. That's good.
And everybody is enthusiastic about
this.
Yeah,
everyone likes this website.
Even in the labs, we used Appearin. The 5th day, we did some presentations, the result of the lab of 4 days' work. And this memory call that was done by Clarisse Bardio, she's a teacher at the University of Valenciennes. Artists, they combined it with this Appearin. So they did presentations, not live presentations as we see it, but like the public was in different rooms. The show was in another room. We had public from Brazil on this Appearin, because you have 4 windows. So we had two different publics and 2 different shows on one screen.
Wow.
And we looked at, it was just 4 days work, an experimental thing. Just an example how they combine on 4 days reflection different tools together, and you have a nice process.
And it's also interesting because the Appearin has this limitation that only 4 participants can use it in the same time in one group conversation. But also for you have a small company, so it's not a problem. And also during this process, you could use it in a creative way. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
amazing.
Very nice.
Yeah, cool. Ondrej?
In creation, I use one more, but it's specific really for my creation because we use a lot of synthesized voice. Mm-hmm. And so I was looking for a really good synthesizer, like voice synthesizer, text to voice. So I found really good one, which is quite expensive, but that's really tool I use all the time. To even live during the show, I synthesize written text, which is also a nice tool.
And you found this application during one of the labs? Or
no. It was even before, actually.
Even before?
Yeah.
But now you use it
yeah.
regularly? Okay, nice. And what is the future? So my question is about what is the future of using these applications, what you got from the project?
For me, it's nice to see how everyone used those apps, and then we can compare and find the best way. And I think now I'm going to delete everything I did and do new templates, for example, in Trello. I have new ideas since also this week to see how people use those things. And so it's to, again, make the most of it and not only just now that the discovering of those things is done, see how we can use it better. And also maybe choose, because we with our collective we experimented with many apps, and I think it's better to not use too many, because then you get lost and you don't really use them. So I think we will use maybe just Trello, or we didn't talk about it yet, but choose 1 or 2 things that really fit our needs and forget about the others. Maybe I think I would say.
So you've been using Trello for 1.5 years now or
Yeah.
2, but even this week got you
new ways of using it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Or to organize it in a different
Wow.
way. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really good.
I launch. During the labs that I directed, after 4 days, there were presentations, and I found the results, the presentations, very surprisingly for 4 days' work. So I think if after 4 days of reflection and exchange and using basic tools, digital tools, imagine what could happen if you do that 4 weeks or 4 months or 4 years in education, because we don't use in circus education, we don't use any of these tools. So I think if you imagine this in 4 years or long period, I think it will lead to a new creativity, and that will do very good to our.
And are you looking forward to implement that?
Yes, I'm gonna use it in my education
wow, nice.
institute. Yeah,
Nice, good.
And just, I think for what was for me really important, because the workshops were really open for ideas or for tools which were not really meant to be in a workshop from the first place. So they were asking what tools do you use, and so I found a lot of alternatives, which is I think really important, because the most tools what we used, they are for free for use or quite cheap. But also it's companies which are really unstable, and they're changing a lot. For example, in the 1.5 year already Appearing changed a lot, and it's much more. It's not so opened for free. So I think, and it's changed every year. So it's good that we. I have now. I'm not worried when the tool stops working. Company bankrupt or something, and they always it's easy for me now to find an alternative for it, because I see it's really
Because due to the project you're more used to search for tools than before, right?
Yeah. It's normal for me now. If I have some problem, first what I do is I try to search for a tool which can fit. If I don't find it, I make another solution, but mostly I find something. So it's
Well, it means it's a really big benefit, because that means that your mind became open, that there might be a solution, and I can be active to find it.
Yeah, and also there is always a solution. Only depends how expensive it is.
Yeah, just like Sven, you explained that you find a tool that was not really working for the problem, but then in the lab they started the
exchange, and I think this initiative I salute it, very grateful, because this project there should be more projects like this for students, for teachers, for artists. This is only a beginning. I hope there will be more projects like this.
Yeah, but if you are in a creative process, usually your mind is not so open for this kind of solutions, right? I mean that you are doing Circus, so you are more focused on the physical things, not for the IT things. So that's why a project like this opens your mind for other solutions which can help your creative process from a totally other level.
Yes, I hope so, because I think, but it's my personal opinion, that Circus is stagnating a little bit. I always see a little bit the same things unseen. The world is changing a lot and more, and I hope Circus will change with that society and artists and teachers with them. So we need to go forward and not do the same things than in the past.
Yeah, and became up to date with this age, which is full of.
And we are behind. I think in history, art has always been le précurseur. Has been
first.
First in the society to show ways to new things, but on this level, I think in Circus we are behind a little bit.
That's interesting. And my last question is just about that. You started to mention that you started to introduce Appirin for other artists. Do you have each of you a good example about sharing your tools with someone else?
Yeah. I'm also in another other project where I'm directing a piece, and it's a very big group and a big team also so it's a big team. And I directly said maybe we should use Trello. And actually the programmer of the theater said, "Oh, now I also use Trello in my theater."
Really?
Yes.
That's nice.
Well, I think he
example.
used it before, and then when I said that, he was happy because, like, to spread a bit those tools, and it doesn't work yet with this group. Like, people don't really use it well yet, but I think it's our role to use it anyway and see step by step that it's a practical tool and useful for this kind of project. So yeah, in any project I do, I try to use them also because I think it's very helpful, and we gain a lot of time with it.
Cool.
Yeah, Appirin, I told somebody about Appirin, and she works in a very big international organization, and this big international organization use Appirin now. Everybody
Really?
because-
Wow.
And then the memory call app, I try to use it in schools where I come. So little by little it will spread. We will spread it.
Nice.
Spread the love.
The digital love.
Yeah, I mostly, it's hard to teach somebody Trello, like to tell him like just install Trello or log into Trello and learn it. Which is,
And the life will change.
yeah. But Appirin, that's the thing. Like when somebody wants to have a Skype call, I say, "Oh, sorry, I don't have a Skype. I have Appirin," and then I say, "Just open this link," and they're almost like, "Okay, wow, how does it work? It's really nice." So it's impossible for them to say no, Appirin. I'm used to Skype, so it's always so easy that nobody have a problem with it, which is nice.
No complaints. So Appirin is the biggest success in the creation field.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, last question. How you would describe your experience in one word, on one expression, about the CIRCollaborative Tools project?
One word.
One word or one expression, yeah.
For me, it will be more for production than artistic research. For more helpful for production-wise than for really a creative process.
Okay.
I have two words. New creativity.
New creativity, nice.
For me, definitely also production. It's much more useful.
Production.
That way, because I'm not producer and
Yeah.
so production.
Cool. Okay. Thank you very much for your creative work, and good luck on the creative field for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All the best.